have lived alone for 11 years. My husband passed in 2013, and I have been in this house by myself ever since. And in those 11 years, I have learned things about living alone that nobody warned me about. Things you only learn from actually doing it, day after day, in a house that is quieter than you ever expected it to be. Some of those things I figured out quickly. Others took me embarrassingly long. And a handful of them I wish with everything in me that someone had just told me plainly, before I needed them, before something happened that made the need obvious. That is what today is about. 6 items. 6 things that seniors living alone either have and are deeply grateful for, or do not have and genuinely regret. Not gadgets, not gimmicks, not things someone is trying to sell you. Things that make a real difference to real people living real lives alone in their own homes. And I want to tell you up front, one of these 6 is something I resisted for almost 2 years. I had every reason in the world not to get it, or so I told myself. And then something happened on a Thursday afternoon that changed my mind completely. I will tell you that story before we are done today. Stay with me. But first, let me tell you about my friend Lorraine. Lorraine is 79. She has lived alone since her husband moved to a memory care facility 3 years ago. She is a capable woman, organized, practical, not someone who panics or exaggerates. And she told me something at coffee last spring that I have not stopped thinking about. She said the hardest part of living alone is not the loneliness. It is the smallness of things. She meant the way ordinary small problems, a jar you cannot open, a pill bottle that will not give, a smoke alarm chirping at 2 in the morning that you cannot reach, become genuinely difficult when there is no one else in the house. When there is no one to hand something to and say, "Here, can you try this?" She said every one of those small moments reminds you that you are alone. And that reminder, repeated enough times, starts to wear on you in a way that is hard to describe. I knew exactly what she meant. I have felt every one of those moments myself. The items I am going to tell you about today address that smallness. They are not dramatic. They will not change your life in a single moment. But together, over time, they quietly remove the friction and the fear and the reminders that living alone can pile up without you even noticing. The first item is a medical alert device. And before you click away, please hear me out, because I know what you are thinking, because I thought it too. I thought it was for people who were further along than me, older than me, more fragile than me. I thought wearing one would mean something about who I was and where I was in life, and I did not like what I thought it would mean. I was proud, and my pride kept me from having something that could have genuinely helped me for almost 2 full years. The Thursday afternoon I mentioned at the beginning. I was in my backyard pulling weeds, which I know I probably should not have been doing alone, and I stepped back onto the uneven edge of my garden border, and I went down, hard. I was not hurt badly, a bruised hip, some scraped palms, nothing that required a hospital. But I was on the ground and I could not get up by myself, and my phone was on the kitchen counter inside, and I was there, on the ground in my backyard, for nearly an hour before my neighbor happened to look out her window and see me. An hour. I thought about what would have happened if she had not looked out. I thought about what it would have been like to be there into the evening, into the dark. I thought about my daughter not knowing. I thought about all the reasons I had told myself I did not need a medical alert device, and not one of them seemed convincing anymore. I ordered one that same week. The devices available today are nothing like what you might be picturing. They are not bulky boxes on a cord. Many of them look like a simple watch or a small pendant. Many of them work anywhere, not just in your home. So if something happens when you are out walking or in a parking lot, you are covered. Many of them detect falls automatically, without you pressing anything, which matters because if you hit your head or you are disoriented, the last thing you can count on is remembering to press a button. The monthly cost is usually somewhere between $20 and $40, less than most people spend on coffee in a month. And what it purchases is not just help if something happens. It is the quiet daily knowledge that if something happens, someone will know. That you will not be on the ground in your backyard for an hour waiting for a neighbor to look out her window. If you live alone and you do not have one of these yet, please take this seriously. Not because I think something bad is about to happen to you, but because the cost of not having it, when you need it and do not have it, is a cost I would not wish on anyone. The second item is a grabber tool, also called a reacher. And I know it sounds unglamorous. It is unglamorous. It is a long-handled claw on a stick, and it is one of the most genuinely useful things in my house. When you live alone, getting something off a high shelf or picking something up off the floor are not neutral acts anymore. Getting down on the floor to pick something up means getting back up off the floor, which is harder than it sounds and riskier than it looks. Reaching high overhead without something to hold means testing your balance in a way that is not always wise. And doing either of these things while no one is home means if something goes wrong, there is nobody there. A grabber tool changes both of those calculations. It is about 2 or 3 feet long. It has a trigger handle at one end and a gripping claw at the other. You can pick up a pill off the floor without bending. You can retrieve something from a high cabinet without stretching. You can get the thing that rolled under the couch without getting down on your hands and knees. They cost between $10 and $20. I have 2 of them, one in the kitchen and one in the bedroom. My daughter thought they were funny when she first saw them. Then she visited on a day when I used one to pick up a bottle cap I had dropped, and she said, "Actually, that is pretty smart, Mom. It is not exciting, but it is one of those things that once you have it, you cannot quite imagine why you waited." The third item is a pill organizer with an alarm. And I want to spend a little time on this one because medication management is one of the most quietly serious challenges of living alone as we get older. And most people are not managing it as carefully as they think they are. Many of us take multiple medications. Some of us take them at different times of day. Some of them need to be taken with food, some without, some at night, some in the morning. And when you are the only person in the house, there is no one to notice if you missed one. No one to say, "Did you take your pill yet?" No one to catch the error. My friend Bernard is 81 and he lives alone and he is on 7 medications. Smart man, careful man. And he told me once that he had spent 3 days feeling genuinely unwell before he realized he had been taking one of his evening medications in the morning because he had gotten confused about which day he was on. 3 days, on the wrong dose, at the wrong time, without knowing it. A pill organizer with a built-in alarm is not a luxury for someone in that situation. It is a safety device. The better ones have compartments for morning, noon, evening, and bedtime for each day of the week. They beep or light up when it is time to take a dose. Some of the more advanced ones even lock the other compartments so you can only access the right dose at the right time. You can find a basic one for under $20. A more advanced automatic dispenser costs more, perhaps $50 to $100. But for someone on multiple medications, it is worth every penny. Managing your own medications correctly is one of the most important things you can do to stay healthy enough to stay independent. A simple organizer with an alarm makes that significantly easier to do right every single day. The fourth item is a doorbell camera. And I want to talk about this one specifically in the context of living alone, because the calculation is different when you are by yourself than when there are 2 of you. When my husband was alive and someone knocked at the door, I did not think twice. One of us went to the door. Now I am the only one going to the door. And the older I have gotten, the more I have come to understand that not everyone who knocks on your door is who they say they are. Scammers and con artists specifically target older adults who live alone. They come to the door, they have a story. They seem reasonable and pleasant, and they are very good at what they do because they do it every single day, and most of us encounter it almost never. They say they are from the utility company, and they need to check something inside. They say they are collecting for a charity. They say there is something wrong with your roof and they were just working in the neighborhood and happened to notice. A doorbell camera lets you see and speak to whoever is at your door without opening it. From your phone, from your couch, from anywhere in the house. You can see their face. You can ask them what they want. You can tell them to leave a card. And if something feels wrong, you do not have to open the door at all, ever, for any reason. My neighbor Patricia got one after a man came to her door claiming to be from the gas company. She let him in. He walked through her house while his partner, who she did not know was there, went through her bedroom. She lost jewelry and $200 in cash she kept in her nightstand. Patricia is one of the sharpest women I know. This was not about being careless or foolish. It was about being alone and being targeted by professionals who were very good at what they did. A doorbell camera costs between $50 and $150 depending on the model. It connects to your phone, and it is not complicated to use. Your adult children or a grandchild can help you set it up in under an hour. And the peace of mind it provides, not just for you but for the people who love you and worry about you, is something you will feel from the very first day. Do not open your door to strangers. You do not have to. You have the right to know who is there before you decide. The fifth item is a shower chair or shower bench. I want to say something about this one before I describe it, because I know the reaction it gets. When my doctor first mentioned it, I smiled politely and changed the subject. I was not someone who needed a shower chair. Those were for people who were unsteady or recovering from something. I was fine. And then I noticed myself holding the wall of my shower while washing my feet. Just casually, just for a second, just while balancing on one leg. And I thought about that honestly. I was standing on one leg in a wet shower, holding a slippery tile wall, alone in the house. One leg, wet, alone. I bought a shower bench within the week. The shower is one of the most genuinely dangerous places in the home for anyone over 65, and the risk multiplies when you live alone. A fall in the shower when someone else is in the house is frightening and potentially serious. A fall in the shower when you live alone is a different situation entirely. A shower bench or chair lets you sit while you bathe. You can sit to wash your feet rather than standing on one leg. You can sit if you feel dizzy or lightheaded. You can take a shower without the constant quiet calculation of how steady you are at this particular moment on this particular morning. They are not expensive. A basic plastic shower chair costs between $25 and $50. A teak bench that sits across the tub costs a bit more and is a bit nicer looking if that matters to you. Either one does the job. I want to say one more thing about this. Using a shower chair does not mean you are unsteady. It means you are smart enough to remove an unnecessary risk from your daily life. There is a version of independence that is about proving you do not need things, and there is a version that is about protecting your ability to keep living your life on your own terms. The shower chair is about the second kind. That is the kind worth having. The sixth item is the one that surprised me most when I thought about this list, because it is not a safety device. It is not a medical tool. It is not protecting you from something going wrong. It is a good set of jar openers and grip aids. I know how that sounds, but let me tell you what Lorraine told me about the smallness of things, and then tell me this does not matter. When you live alone, a jar you cannot open is not a small inconvenience. It is a reminder that you are alone, that there is no one to hand it to, that your hands are not what they were. Every time you wrestle with a lid and lose, something quiet happens inside you that accumulates over time. Arthritis affects the majority of adults over 65. Grip strength decreases as we age. This is not a character flaw, it is biology. And there are simple tools that address it completely. A rubber jar opener, the kind that looks like a flat rubber disc, costs almost nothing and works on most standard lids. An electric jar opener, which you place on top of the jar and press a button, costs between $20 and $30 and opens virtually anything automatically. A one-touch can opener does the same for cans. No more struggling with a manual crank that your hands do not want to cooperate with. These are small things, but small things are what daily life is made of. Every day you can open your own jars and cans and bottles is a day you did it yourself. A day that belonged to you. I think about Lorraine's word, smallness. The way living alone can feel small when the small things defeat you. And I think about how these tools, collectively, push back against that smallness. They are not dramatic, but they restore something. They give you back little pieces of your daily life. One jar, one pill, one shower, one knock at the door, one stumble in the yard at a time. That is what independence actually feels like from the inside. Not one big dramatic moment. 1,000 small moments every week where you handled it yourself, where you did not need to call anyone, where you looked at the problem and you had what you needed to solve it. I am 85 years old, and I live alone in my own house. and I intend to keep doing that for as long as I possibly can. I have my grabber tool and my shower bench and my pill organizer. I have a doorbell camera and a medical alert device I wear every single day without embarrassment. And I have 3 different jar openers in my kitchen drawer, and I am not ashamed of a single one of them. Because every one of them is a small act of refusing to be defeated by something that did not have to defeat me. You deserve that too. You deserve a home that works for you, tools that are on your side, a daily life where the small things do not accumulate into something heavier than they need to be. If you live alone, look at this list honestly, not with pride, with the practical, clear eyes of someone who has earned enough years to know the difference between what matters and what does not. The things that help you stay in your own home, on your own terms, doing your own life, those things matter. They are worth buying. They are worth using without apology. If today was useful to you, please subscribe. Every week I bring you something real from 85 years of figuring things out, and I want you there for it. And here is my question for you in the comments. Which one of these 6 things have you been putting off getting, and what has been your reason? Be honest, because I promise you someone else out there is sitting with the exact same excuse. I read every comment. You are not alone in any of this.